friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average babes come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A place where being yourself is the ultimate goal, where your opinion, your story, and your individual experience matters. Join me, your host B, and my guests for real and raw talks every week, laying it all out there so we can all help each other learn more, grow deeper, and evolve collectively. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, no one here is an expert and no one is giving any advice. This is strictly our opinions, thoughts, feelings, and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. I hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am the host of the show. And today you guys were on episode 216, Being Real About Botox Injury, Part 3. Yes, you guys, 3 amazing women have come on the show now to talk and warn you guys about Botox injury and the dangers and the risks that come with this procedure. Now, again, in these episodes, we're not here to sway you to change your mind. We just want you to have informed consent, and we want you to know what women are experiencing with this on maybe the not bright side, because marketing, she's pushing hard lately. And as an elder millennial, I am feeling it, you guys. So what a good time to talk about this. I'm so grateful for these women. I am so sorry that they've had to go through this, but I'm eternally grateful that they trusted me with their story, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear part 3 with Laura. I'm so excited for you guys to hear this one. But before we get on to this episode, I just want to remind you, if you are listening on Rumble, Spotify, or Apple, to make sure to turn on those notifications and leave me a review if you're feeling so kind. It really helps me out. And if you're trying to find me on social media this year, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at the Be Real Babe podcast. Quick reminder, if you are looking for my Canadian politics and internet insanity segments, those are now just on YouTube at the Be Real Babe show, where I talk about random crazy shit I find on the internet and what the heck is going on in our Canadian government right now. I don't know. You don't know. It changes every week. So we had to move that over to a weekly episode on YouTube. But guys, we're a month and a bit through the first of season 9, and it has been absolutely fire. I hope you guys have been loving these episodes. These interviews have been absolutely amazing. I just want to thank my guests and listeners again so much. We're just making moves over here. Again, I don't know if this is going to be my last 2 seasons. I don't think so. But in case they are, I really wanted to make these ones memorable. But I'm going to shut the fuck up because you guys have to listen to this 3rd segment of Botox Injury with my babe, Laura. Let's go. All right, babes, it's time to get on to the show. And with me today, I have amazing guests joining me from across the world. I'd like to welcome Laura to the show. Hey, babe, how's it going?
All good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here today. I'm so sorry what we have to talk about, but I'm so excited that you're here. I was telling the other girls. Go ahead.
It's always that bittersweet thing. It's like when you speak to other girls and then when I'm being on this podcast, like, oh, it's really unfortunate I've had to be here today to speak to you. But at the same time, as you say, it's really nice to still convene over it.
Totally. So you've been on Bianca's podcast?
No, I haven't been on anyone else's podcast.
Okay, I was like, oh my gosh, how did you know Bianca? This is so cool. She's in Australia. She speaks out about breast implant illness. And I was like, oh my gosh, did my worlds just collide?
Oh, cool. No, I need to find her though. If she's on Instagram or anywhere, I'll have a look for her.
Yeah, I'll send you. Yeah, I thought that was amazing. Because like I said, I love speaking to everyone on the other side of the world, because I think sometimes we just get so focused on what's happening here and in our own country. And then all of a sudden we're like, wait, hold on. There's other people across the world that use the same products as we do. So obviously they're getting hurt too. And like, we got to talk to them. Like, what is it like over there? Right. So thank you so much for joining me today. And like I said, I wish we were meeting. I told the other girls like on a beautiful trip somewhere for some like thing that we won. But hey, we're going to be here and we're going to advocate and we're going to make sure that other women have informed consent so they don't have to go through any shit like you guys did. So, but before we get on to that, are you able to share a little bit about yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, so I'm Laura. I live just outside of London, about 20 miles outside, actually in the countryside. So you can tell from my accent, very much based in the UK. I got married like 2 years ago now, or just under. So yes, my husband and I live together, and you probably can hear actually typically a cat's just come in the room when we're talking about like not having interruptions in a podcast. I thought I'll be fine, and then the cat comes in. So I've got lots of animals as well. I've got horses,
we do too.
Cats, dog, love all my animals, and my cat's probably going to leave in a minute, so he's absolutely outrageous. Can you hear him?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh gosh, he's absolutely outrageous.
It's okay. We have 3 here too.
Do you?
We do.
My poor husband's like on conference calls saying I can't get any work done.
Yeah.
So we got married about 2 years ago. We bought a new house together, got our animals, and just a very civilized life really in the countryside. So I basically work for a financial advisory firm, and I used to work actually in the pharma space. So I actually left pharmaceuticals just shortly after this injury happened, really.
Oh my goodness. So that is that I guess we'll get to that, but that's an interesting
Yeah.
change. Also, if you can help me, I finance is terrible. So, on the side, if you want to help, that's would be great.
Oh my
But
gosh, my maths is atrocious. I don't know how I'm in financial advisory, but there you go.
girl, I'm inventory planner, and well, I just moved. My title got changed to Intersight, but majority of my job is inventory for the recreational space and cannabis here in Canada. And
Oh, cool.
sometimes when I speak numbers, I'm like, how is this my job? Because I could do Excels and all these, but then like basic math, I'm like, oh, help me out here. Like, and people are like, you do inventory. I'm like, I swear to God, put me in Excel. I'm a genius. Put me just on basic math. No, I suck. I suck. Even though we had no calculators growing up, still not good.
Yeah, same.
But I actually, when I was younger, right after high school, I went to London. Actually, I feel very blessed that I was able to go over there for 5 days with my grandparents, and we did as much as we could over there, and it's so beautiful. Like,
Beautiful.
so, yeah, it was so nice to be there and just like change my life. Just small Canadian from an island, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, the car's on the other side of the road. Like the food was so different, but it was still like,
food. Yeah, if you were on the TikToks when people talk about like cheese and beans on toast, like what the hell do the British eat? And I must admit, the more I think about it now, like my husband's German as well, so he probably looks at the food that we have sometimes. Like, to be fair though, German cuisine, although I hope I don't want to insult any of your German listeners, but also is like quite questionable. So
it's very different.
British cuisine is probably the lowest. So I'll be honest, it's not the best.
I think what it was like it was a roast beef sandwich or something, and it was like barely cooked roast beef or something, and I was like, is this legal? Like, can I eat? And I was like 19, so I had no idea. But what a wake up! But what a beautiful place to be, and I think it just opened up the world, opened up my eyes to how big the world is. So it's really cool to just like, okay, I haven't been many places in the world, but I've been right where you are. So that's really exciting.
Oh, nice. I need to travel more, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, anytime you want to come to Canada, we're here. We're here. It's beautiful. Like imagine it's kind of like where I live specifically is kind of like a California, but like make it Canadian. So a little bit more outdoorsy and like, pine trees. Yeah. Like, but we've got mountains here. It's a beautiful place. So if you ever come over, let us know for sure. Love to tour you around. But hopefully when you get better, all that. So going to the beginning of your story, is Botox something that was something you've always wanted? Was it around your life, or was it kind of like one day you stumbled on it, tried it once, or was it something that you're like, yeah, one day I'm going to do this?
I don't know. I think part of it was like more of a peer pressure type thing, if I'm honest. So I have like a really good group of girls. We all love each other. We get on really well. And I think over time, obviously, you become a bit image conscious. And as I started to get older, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm starting to age. Surprise, shock, horror. I'm starting to age. And so for a couple of years, I've been sort of researching into Botox. As I mentioned at the beginning, my background used to be in pharma, so I'm actually a scientist by background. So obviously, cool. I trusted medication. Like I trust what things that doctors prescribe. I understand the backbones of drug interactions. So for me, Botox seemed just as safe, or the efficacy of it and the trials I had read up on. So I'd actually did a lot of studying on Botox for a couple of years before I actually decided to try it. I think the nail in the coffin for me was probably when my husband and I got married, and I looked back on my wedding photos and I was like, I'm starting to get old. And I thought maybe now is the time. So I had done some research already. I made sure to find a trusted practitioner. She was a nurse and had been a practicing nurse for about 20 years. So it wasn't like I just went to any random, beautician or anything like that. Or it doesn't have to be a beautician. It could be anyone that could inject. So I went and saw her at the start of January 2024. And that's when I had my injections.
Interesting. So out of more people, you'd maybe more have an understanding if someone was to say, hey, this is the scientific process of what it does to your body and all that kind of stuff. You maybe be able to understand the scientific portion more than, let's say, like someone like me, average Joe. And so when you went into your, you read everything. Had you known about the black box warning? Did they bring that up to you at all? Did they say there was any risks?
Nope. So I did do a lot of research online. So obviously my background, and also being quite health and safety conscious as well. I mean, like with vaccinations, drugs, other things, I've always been one to read through basically anything that could be adverse, that could happen to you.
Totally.
But as with Botox, as we should, absolutely should. Yeah. But no, I read up online. I was just typed into good old Google, so what are the side effects of Botox? And it was just like, you might get a temporary headache, you might feel a bit fluey, like all the normal jazz. So I was just thinking, there's literally, it's foolproof. Nothing can go wrong here. And then obviously when I got to see the injector, she just said, passed me her tablet and just said, just have a read through really quickly and sign through at the bottom for me that you're happy with proceeding with having your injections. I did not at one point think that information would have contained anything about a black box warning.
Totally.
I probably skimmed it just like you would do if you got like a contraception pill or anything. Totally. You get that huge leaflet and you look at it and you're like, oh wow, there's a load of things on here that could, exactly.
A nap time read.
It's the same with that. I'm digitally just fucking off through yes. Like, there's nothing on here that concerns me whatsoever. Signed at the bottom, and that was it really. Nothing. Didn't get any warning from the beautician whatsoever, or nurse rather.
And I don't know if things are different because sometimes words in science is different across the world. So if, for your understanding, informed consent, from my understanding, is that, okay, maybe you signed that and you're told to read through it. That is not informed consent. Informed consent is, did you understand what you read? Do you know what the actual side effects are? Do you know how it's going to work in your body? And do you know the mechanism in which it's going to blah, blah, blah? A majority of people are saying, yeah, I signed the thing. Or there was an email at the very bottom that said there's a black box warning, but nowhere in that actual appointment of being like, hey, do you understand this? And it's like, people, I think women feel guilty. Well, I signed the thing. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. That's not informed consent. No, you didn't actually know.
Exactly. But then my question is, do the injectors actually know, if that makes sense as well?
Well, some of them a black box warning, I would think.
You would thought they would.
I mean, is it not? I haven't seen it, but is it not actually on the box, or is it just by saying black? Maybe this is dumb. Is it black box warning just like it's categorized that somewhere? It's not actually on the box. So like, if you don't go, I would think that the packaging would have to say that.
Yeah, but
I'd be interested.
In packaging. Yeah,
you don't, but the injector does.
No,
though, right?
The injector does. Yeah.
Right?
So when you go in, it's usually already constituted and made up. You've just got your injection there, so you don't even know what the dilution's been. You don't know how concentrated, diluted the solution is, what the adjuvant is. They don't even tell you what they dilute the Botox in. Most of the time, a lot of people don't even know what brand of Botox they've had. Because obviously you don't have just Botox. You have, I had Azalure, which is the Dysport equivalent in the UK. So pretty much a off-the-shelf or labelled Botox product. I knew straight away it wasn't counterfeit or anything. But I didn't actually see the box whatsoever. You don't even see the batch number. So this is what I find really, really disturbing, is the fact that you don't have that black box information. As you mentioned, the informed consent. No one turns around and says to you, do you know that this is what Botox can do to you? And if someone has said that to me in there, I would have got out of the chair and said, thanks very much. I mean, I'm happy to pay. I've wasted your time, but I'm walking out without the injections. I'm not having that.
Yes. And people think I'm crazy, but I'm also like, because of this risk and because there's a black box warning, I think it would be super important to like have a meeting before you get it, to have a conversation about this. Why are you getting it? You know, like, is this developing some sort of addictions? I'm sure not for everybody, but I'm sure for some people. And that's probably why I've never done it. Not now that I know, but before, for me, it's like, if I start something, I have an addictive personality. So I have to be very aware of that. So it's like, for me, if I would have done it, it would have been closing in insecurity. And I would have like continued to nitpick myself. Cause I know that with like fitness, that I've become obsessed to a point where it was dangerous for me. So and I've done that with drugs, with pharmaceuticals. That's why I don't do pharmaceuticals now, because I was on Tylenol 3 at 13, because instead of talking to me about my period and my life, it was just like, oh, you have bad period cramps? Here's Tylenol 13 or Tylenol.
Here's a plaster.
Tylenol, exactly. Tylenol 3 at 13. Here you go. And it's like, that's okay, why didn't you check anything else? So that's where my Western medicine journey kind of started, when I was a teenager, just like not fully understanding and being given 100 Tylenol 3s at, 15 years old. It was like immediate addictive personality, immediate set to be on pharma. And then at like 22, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I just, not even Advil really anymore, because I'm so afraid of it. So, but I would have, had I not done that, I would have been in the same position where it's like, well, everyone else around me, a bunch of people are getting it. It's very normalized. Seems like the injectors are saying everything's good. I'm Googling it. I'm doing all the right things. Like, I would have, but when I hear safe and effective from when I heard about it with birth control and like, pharmaceuticals as a teenager, now that's like a sentence that always triggers me to be like, I need to talk to people that have done this before, though. Right? Because they're not going to pay. Who's going to pay for Botox injury?
No. And the thing is that, it doesn't sound selfishly, selfishly
No.
speaking, right? But like, if you haven't personally had an issue with any medication before, you haven't had any adverse side effects, or it's something that maybe your doctor's listed and you've had. So,
Yep.
for example, I was on isotretinoin, I think it's called,
Okay.
Roaccutane for having acne when I was
Okay. Okay.
younger.
Yep.
And there's a couple of like symptoms I had from that, side effects, but the doctor explained them to me. They're not significant side effects. It's just
Yeah.
like your lips might get a bit dry, you might have a bit of dry mouth or something like that.
Yeah, stoner. We get it all the time over here.
Yeah. I wish it was legal in the UK.
I know. Sorry for you. One day.
Yeah, well, one day maybe. But yeah, like it's what things like that you can expect and understand. But when it came to Botox, and as you say, everything pointed to say that it's fine, it's very safe. So I've never ever had an issue with any other medication before in my life. So I thought, well, why would this be any different? It didn't even occur to me or come to my mind that something could go wrong. All my friends, not all my friends, but I have a good percentage of my friends that do have cosmetic injections. Could be fillers, could be Botox as well. And you wouldn't be able to tell because it's so minor a tweakment on their face, as people would say. Very natural. And you've always looked and thought, you know what? Everyone else is doing it. I mean, I wouldn't say I would have kept up with it longer term if nothing had gone wrong. I don't actually know if I would have done or not, just because of A, the expense, and B, I probably would have thought, and also I would have thought as well, you know, it is a toxin that I'm putting into my face. I wouldn't have any justification from it if I didn't know anything about the side effects. But after a while, I'd be like, I don't actually know. Should I be putting it on my face? Maybe not. Maybe I should. I don't know. So I probably would have stopped.
Totally. But adding anything really at anything puts you at risk, right? So it's just like, and that's one thing. I actually had a girlfriend send me a screenshot of a place, an injection place. That sounds awful, but a cosmetic Botox place in where I used to live. And right on it, it was like neurotoxin. And it was like talking about the positives of neurotoxins. And she screenshot it to me and she sent it to me. She's like, dude, what? Are they trying to fucking normalize neurotoxins as a good thing? She was like, I just Googled it just to make sure, like, am I tripping? And she was like, screenshot it. She's like, this doesn't read well. Why are we trying to normalize neurotoxins as something you want to go to a place to get? And I was like, because, I mean, really, if you think about it, it's a really solid business plan. You tell women that they're not good enough, that they need to look like women in the movies. And guess what? When we were younger, and sorry, I'm not sure your age, but I'm elder millennial. When I was a teenager,
I'm elder millennial.
Yeah, so it was like women in their 50s or 60s getting it done. It wasn't 20-year-olds, it wasn't 30, 40, even like it was like 50s, 60s. So like we just looked up and we seen the stars on TV and we knew that was Photoshop. We knew that was Hollywood, right? So at least we had the association. Kids nowadays and even adults, as they still haven't gone through their body and face dysmorphia, have filters, like, and everyone changing their face, like the pressure is on. And we're at that age where, our expressions, our hard lives are showing on our faces. And we're essentially told that to only be loved and acceptable, we need to look like we're 20. And these are all the ways that you're doing it and you can do it. And and then people are like, and then they go to that because that's what's popular. That's what's, in the Hollywood, in the movies and everywhere. Filters. So I think filters to me was what exacerbated fillers and Botox, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because then you're seeing not only like you said, that disservice camera, now you got a filter removing all of your issues. And you could just take that to a surgeon, to an injector and be like, do this. And if there's no risk, why the fuck wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Yeah. So like, it's so gaslighty. And then something happens and then you're told that can possibly be it. Right? I'm sure that's your experience. I'm not sure. So let's get into it. So January 2024, first time injections. You didn't know. You're going in. You're like, girlie's going to get plastic or like flat.
And you know what? I thought I'm going to go for a conservative amount. And again, you've probably heard that before. People thinking, you know what? I'm only going to try it. I'm going to have a little bit. So I just had it around my eyes. I didn't have it on my forehead. I had nowhere else, just around my eyes. Okay. And you know, the injections themselves were fine. It was a complete non-event. I left the salon. She did work. She was a nurse, but she worked in a salon a couple of days a week. Yep. Got home and basically I thought, great, can't wait for the magic to set in almost. So almost a couple of days passed. And again, I was sort of obsessing of myself. I was on Snapchat, looking at my eyes every day, being like, oh, look, they're starting to just get a bit tighter. Like it all felt a bit tight around there. And I thought, well, that's a totally normal sensation because you've just basically blocks the nerves and the sensation around your eyes and stop the muscles from being able to contract. So of course you're going to feel frozen. And then all of a sudden, I think it must be about day 5 or so, my eyes just started to feel like they started to burn. Like I started getting this really horrible burning sensation. And it felt like when I was in the car, you know, when you have light that's just shining on you and it just makes your face get really hot.
Yeah.
Just imagine that just concentrated around your eyelids, and they just kept burning. And I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm having an allergic reaction to this.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctors about it because it wasn't resolving after a few days. And they were like, oh, it might be an allergy. I mentioned about the Botox, and they just said, try and take some antihistamines and see if that helps you. But here's also this antibiotic ointment that we can give you for your eyelids in case of bacterial infection. So again, they just tried loads of different drugs for me to try. And I thought, fine, well, okay, didn't think anything of it. And I think at this stage, I remember sitting in the car and my boss called me, and it was in the afternoon. I just come back from seeing a client. I still had this eye issue at the same time. And I don't know what he was saying to me, but all of a sudden, like, it's almost like I just became so dissociated from this conversation with him. And I had this real surge of panic just inside me. And I had no idea what was causing it. I'm like, why am I starting to panic? And I could feel my eyes were burning. I was starting to panic. And I was like, something's not going right. Like, something's going seriously wrong. Luckily, the cream actually did sort out my eyes in the end. But even still, I know it was definitely from having the injections. I mean, I'm sorry, but you don't just inject in your eyes and then a couple of days later, your eyes start feeling like they're burning.
It's too coincidental for me.
It's exactly. Like, sorry, but you know what? I know, but the doctor sorted it, so I thought, fine, and that's fine. The panic didn't go away, and then a couple of weeks later, I started to get really dizzy. And like my husband and I had just moved into our new place as well, so we just got married, just moved into our new house, and we were basically doing a lot in the garden and just sorting the house out. And I said to my husband, I was like, my gosh, like I'm starting to feel just really weird and really dizzy. And you know when it really hit me was when one day in the kitchen, we're just messing around, he picked me up and like swung me around. And I felt like he was continuously swinging me around. I was like, stop swinging me. And he's like, Laura, I literally picked you up and swung you once. And I was like, what's going on? And I just progressively got more and more dizzy from then. So my injections were the 8th of January. And by the end of January, I had my eye issue. I then started to get really dizzy. And then by the 5th of February, I was in accident and emergency in the UK. I took myself to A&E because not only did I have the dizziness, but I also had this tight band of pressure around my head that started to come on. It felt like I genuinely had a concrete block on my head. I couldn't describe to you the pain that I just could feel. I was like, my head was just going to explode. And I had this for probably about 3 weeks of just like this intense head pressure, to the point that some days I'd wake up and I feel ill. Like every day I wake up, I'm like, I'm ill. And then about lunchtime-ish, it would then progress into a migraine and I'd be in bed by about 4:00 in the afternoon. I was so exhausted. I couldn't keep my head up. I was dizzy. I'd already signed myself off work at this point. I was like, I can't work. I'm just too ill. Went to A&E the first time, had a bunch of bloods taken. Obviously, I'm panicking and they're like, she's just panicking. So just sit here in the corner. Unfortunately, they don't give you anything to calm your nerves here. They even write on your notes, she's panicky. We didn't give her anything to calm herself or anything like that. I had a CT scan because they wanted to check I hadn't had a brain injury or anything like that. Everything came back normal. Blood tests came back normal as well. They said, you're a little bit low on vitamin D, but of course, most people are in the UK when it's dark, it's winter, whatever. And then sent me on my way. So I went home and I literally was bedridden for 3 weeks. So my poor husband, who had literally just married me, his wife was bedridden. And you know what? I mean, on my bad days, I would sit and cry at the thought of it now. Like, you know, you see those like memes and stuff saying, oh, I'm just like a young girly, like an entrepreneur. I'm just a child. Like genuinely to this day, I feel so hurt thinking there are all these young women, as you mentioned earlier, who we've normalized getting Botox, getting fillers to try and improve your aesthetic appearance. All these young women with their whole lives ahead of them, like me, just got married, just bought a new house, like the thought of starting a family or whatever we wanted to do with our future. And I felt I'm dying. Like, I'm not joking. I am not into over exaggerate. I genuinely thought I was dying. For the whole of February, going into March of last year, I was like, I don't know what's happened to me. And the worst thing was my doctors gaslit me. My best friend, who I still love dearly, she's still my best friend. Of course. She decided, well, when I told her about it, she said to me, babe, that can't happen. She was like, I'm really sorry. I'm a doctor. It won't happen. I was sending her papers, but look at this. It could be botulism. I could have this. She was like, babe, it's not. You're depressed. You've got anxiety. You've got severe clinical depression. You need to see someone. And you know what? Like, I don't blame her. Like, she's not in my body. So she doesn't know. She's just going by what she's been taught in medical school, what she's been gaslit to basically think about what Botox is and what it does to yourself. So I didn't blame her. And obviously she was really concerned about me. She was like, my best friend's just been bedridden for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And she's panicking, hysterically crying on the phone to me, telling me something's wrong. And to be fair, at this point, my husband, I mean, like, he didn't believe, I mean, bless him, he's also in drug design and manufacturing. So his background's pharma as well.
Of course.
And of course, like, he didn't believe me at the beginning either. He was like, Laura, I don't know what's happened to you. He was like, but we'll fix it. We'll sort it. But you need to get away from the Botox. It wasn't that. That hasn't done this. It's stress. I had a very stressful job at the time. I had a lot of things going on with my job that he was just like, that is causing it for you. You need to leave that job. But at this point, I was off on sick leave anyway. So for me, it didn't matter. And you know what? It got to the point where I had to just start living with it. And I was like, look, this might just be my life. And you know what? Another thing, so one of my other major side effects at the time was I lost a lot. My vision was terrible. So like I would look in the distance and things would just be blurry. Like I couldn't see probably a couple of meters ahead of me. And I would rationalize that thinking to myself, well, people with time, their eyesight deteriorates, like they wear glasses.
Yeah.
So that's the only way I could rationalize it. I was like, well, people's eyesight deteriorates all the time. So that's how I'm going to have to stop myself from panicking and know that like my eyesight might deteriorate. And if it's the Botox that's caused it, no one's going to believe me anyway. Went to the opticians and they told me my eyesight was fine. The headaches, again, one of my best friend's mums suffers with migraines, bless her. And so she wears like ice caps at night. She basically does all the migraine preventative sort of measures. So I went to see her actually and spent some time with her again, thinking maybe I'm just a migraine sufferer and this is my life now. So I'm going to have to get used to it. The dizziness was one thing that I just had to I almost made it like humorous for me, if that makes sense. Like I'd go for walks with my husband. I'd be like, woo, I'm on a roller coaster today, or like pretend I'm dizzy. I mean, obviously I'm panicking, crying inside, but I was like, I have to try and be as positive as possible. So every day I would get myself up, go for a walk with my husband with a dog, and then come home and go to sleep. That was basically my day. I lost I don't know, we're talking stone because we're English. I'd say at least 5 kilos, maybe 10 kilos. Okay. I'm a small person anyway. Yeah. I don't have a lot of weight to lose.
That's a lot.
So my husband was panicking, obviously, being like, you need to start eating. But of course, if you're terrified of what's going on with your body and you're not well, the last thing you want to do is eat. So I was having to force myself to eat. Yeah. I had my mum come and stay because my husband had to go away for work. And obviously we have to pay for our house, like a mortgage and everything. We have to pay for these things. I mean, that was terrifying me, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not working. I mean, yes, I was on sick leave. So my mum had to come look after me. I'm like, I'm a 30-plus-year-old woman and I'm having my mum having to come look after me. What the actual fuck?
And no one can tell me why.
And no one can tell me why. My mum's always like, Laura, you really need to get this out of your head. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, the doctors have said you're fine. And you know what, though, Brandy? You almost start thinking, am I going mad? Like, am I genuinely going mad right now?
Yeah.
But you're so ill and you're so tired. I literally spent every inch of energy researching, trawling through Reddit, through social media, just trying to find women that were going through the same thing as me. And it was only probably around end of Feb, maybe March time, that I found a really good friend of mine now on Reddit, who basically had put through saying that she had suffered from vestibular issues and wondered if anyone else was going through the same after one-time Botox injections. This friend's based in the UK, and unfortunately she's like me, still suffers with, we call it a health challenge now because we're trying to dissociate as much as we can from it being Botox, although it is. And you know what, she's been with me throughout it, thick and thin. That's when I found her, about March time, I would say. So between the two of us, we're just trying to muddle through. I started like recording my symptoms and documenting them every day, tried to put like a percentage on how I was feeling so I could work out, is there a pattern with this? Is it linked to my hormonal cycle or to something else? And also it gave me some positivity on the days where I felt that tiny bit better. Yeah. But at this point, like I was still drinking every night. Like I probably upped my alcohol intake. So I was like, well, I'm pretty ill anyway. Like I'm dizzy. So I might as well drink and pass out on the sofa. Who cares? Yeah. Nothing would touch the headaches whatsoever. Nothing would touch them. I mean, we have, I guess you call Tylenol, we call it paracetamol. So I take that, I take ibuprofen, nothing wouldn't touch it. The doctors gave me a beta blocker called propranolol. I had another one as well. They tried to put me on, which was like an antidepressant, SSRI. But again, I just didn't want to go on these severe pharma. I was like, I don't want to go on these huge pharma medications. I just want to know what's causing it. Yeah. So I ended up going privately to a neurologist. Actually, it was an ears, nose and throat specialist because my ears would have this weird blocking sensation with them as well. And I was like, let's just check. It could be a sinus infection, something nasty. Let's just check. And it was only after he examined me and he was going to release me with these beta blocker, this prescription, that he said, by the way, I did read your report and I did read up on Botox. And I stopped and I looked at him and I was like, okay. And he was like, and it can do this. Like I have read up, it can cause migraines. And you know what? It was the biggest eureka moment. I'd had several doctors, my family practice doctor, A&E, my best friend, and I had another neurologist, all tell me Botox couldn't do this to you. Like Botox is used for therapeutic purposes, cosmetic, been used since the 80s. Yeah, so what? Like just because loads of people use it doesn't mean it can't do this. It's on the freaking black box warning.
It says it.
Like it says it. It says it can do all basically everything I list. And you know what I find crazy is when people say this is all in your head. I'm like, how can I then find people in this community, unfortunately, of people that are suffering, and we all have some version of the same symptoms? Like that's not pure coincidence. You can't have that. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work like that. Even though there's how many billion people in the world, whatever. But I mean, it doesn't happen like that. So it was only when the ENT
just pause for a second though. Like if they're doing that on studies, like that's how they do studies. You know what I mean? Like it's like, what are you talking about? Like that's just, sorry not to cut you off, but it kind of blows me away. It's just like, okay, so when you're doing studies and people react, when it's in a controlled study, then you care about the experience. But unless it's in a controlled paid study, people's experiences amounting and pointing to the same thing. Like I've talked to so many of you girlies, like a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it's like anything that changed, it goes back to when the Botox happened. So why, correct. And I'm sorry, as a scientist, as a medical professional, why wouldn't you want to look at that and go, oh, maybe there's something here. Maybe I should educate myself. I just think the ego takes over and it's like, oh, well, I heard it once in school, like 10 years ago. Cool. Breast implant illness wasn't a thing. Well, like it wasn't talked about as much as it was 10 years ago as it is now, from people talking out and being gaslit and being like, enough. So like,
and also it's not as popular as well. Yeah,
no,
it wasn't as popular back then. So you wouldn't hear as many case studies of it back then.
And people probably wouldn't chop it up, right? They'd be like, oh, I worked at a job. I have kids. I do all these things. I'm busy. I'm a woman. You know what I mean? And you guys, we just all chalk it up because, but if someone immediately was like, hey, you know what, Laura, it could be your Botox. Holy fuck, I bet your life would have been a lot different from the couple months that it was until that guy was like, hey, it could be, right? So, sorry, keep going.
No, you just feel so alone though. You feel so alone. Like you feel that you're so disjointed from reality and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like my life has literally just crashed internally from my health. And you just realize then how important your health is as well. So I mean, obviously I then started to change things in my routine, my diet, and thought, okay, let's see how I can get better, because I've somehow got myself into this position. Obviously the doctors, everyone's gaslighting me, telling me it's not that, even my husband doesn't believe me, it's this. So let's try and get myself out of it. And how am I going to do that? So of course it could be anything from meditation. I was going for walks every day. I was taking all the supplements you could think of, trying different things. I mean, there are some people that I've spoken to since having injections, and they suffer from mast cell activation syndrome. So there's certain like drugs, supplements that they can't take or they would react to. I was very fortunate that I wasn't in that cohort. So for me, I could take nothing. I wasn't sensitive to anything that I ate, anything that I drank. So I could pretty much live as normal. I mean, if I drank even a glass of wine, I would pass out after a while. So I realized that was just too much toxin for my body, that I couldn't drink alcohol as much anymore. Caffeine would spike my heart rate crazily. So I'd cut caffeine out. Like even now I'm on a no caffeine Diet Coke. Didn't even know these existed, which is amazing.
Gosh. That's good. I'm like, sorry. I know.
Yeah. But there's the thing in the UK, we just don't have the same stuff that you guys have. Like it's incredible. But
it's probably for the better. We have a lot of bad stuff that we probably shouldn't have, to be honest.
Well, but I mean, like, so I've been caffeine free for a year now, and not that I was a huge caffeine addict anyway, but I mean, there are days I'm knackered. I'm just like, oh, I'd love to have a coffee right now or something. Cut my alcohol back pretty much to being teetotal. So I just had to start adopting or changing ways to try and get better. And I was obsessed with looking at the social media, like looking at Reddit, Facebook, into groups, being like, what are people going through this? Like, what's made them get better? There must be something to make you get better. And genuinely, with time, it did progressively start to get better. So I think March, Feb was the darkest month. That was literally the month that I thought I would be. That was it. I thought I'm not going to be here for much longer. March, I would say I probably started to slowly come out of it. And I actually had 2 really good weeks at the end of March where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling better. Like, this is it. I'm going to be one of those women or men that only has the Botox symptoms for 3 months, and I'm done. Once it's worn out of my system, I'm going to be fine.
Oh.
I went out and got absolutely hammered, wrecked on Good Friday, I think it was. So just before Easter weekend last year with some friends. Right. And then the next day I was like, okay, I've got a hangover. Great. And then the day after, everything hit me again. And I was like, this has not gone away. I was like, this is going to stay for a very long time. And again, it then started to come these cycles of just trying to get out of it. And I would say from May onwards, I comfortably was able to function again. So I went back to work part-time. So I'd finish work at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But this drug basically has taken away literally half a year of my life, at least, to the point that I wasn't working. So obviously I lost money from not being able to work. It put a strain on my marriage. It put a strain on my friendships. So still, I'll be honest in saying that even my really good friends who still to this day probably don't believe that this has happened or how this could have happened. I don't blame them. Like, again, I did it too. I went through and got injections without thinking this could happen. But there are a few of them that just sort of think, really, Laura, do you think you just got health anxiety? And you know what? It's made me question a lot of my friendships as well, to the point that there are friends I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to hang around or associate myself as much with you because clearly you just weren't there when I needed you. Like 100%. If my best friend was to say to me, oh, I don't know, I took this drug and it made me unwell, like I wouldn't care to not believe her. Like I believe her through that no matter what. Like even if the doctor said that's not possible, I'd be like, but why would you make that stuff up? Like just why would you make it up? There's no reason to. So I would say like from May onwards I was able to function again. Like I wouldn't say I was well, like I was still probably operating at like 60-70%, still having to go to bed really early. I couldn't go to loud social venues. Like noise was just horrendous. Like I had to wear those like earplugs wherever I went. We took a flight to my husband's brother's wedding and stuff like that. So I was able to go and be present, but it wasn't me. That wasn't Laura as people remembered me. It was Laura functioning, Laura existing, basically.
Not being have fun and enjoy, just like being there, just to be there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was a myriad of horrible, horrible symptoms. And you know what? It gives me so much trauma when I think about it. But at the same time, I think it's good to try and remember it and be relieved that a lot of that has been put behind me. I've had, of course, a couple of relapses along the way. Relapses do happen. It is possible with this horrible thing as well. I don't know what it is. For me, I personally think it's an overstimulation of your nervous system. Yeah, I think it sends you into array. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. And you know, it stumped me completely. As a scientist, from my life sciences background, I'm like, I have no idea how this could have caused this. I don't get it. And there's nothing scientifically proven, no papers to back this or any studies on this to say neurotoxins can do this to a human brain or to a human body.
But it's clearly doing something.
It clearly did something. And you know what? This is the thing. Anything that I did try to intervene to try and get better quicker, it made it worse. So like I went on the contraceptive pill because I started realizing that my symptoms got worse around my period. So I had what I called the glory 2 weeks before my period. I'd be like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Like, still kind of minor symptoms here and there. Then my period hit and I'd be like, bam, back to where I felt before. Not as severe, but I felt bad again. And to this day, the reason why I had to cancel the previous podcast is because I felt rubbish for a week again. And you do. And it's what I find with this, it's so unpredictable. And that's what makes me so angry, because you have times where you feel great and then times where I've got like family over, friends over, or I've got to be doing something important with my job. And it's impacted even my job now. So I moved jobs at the end of last year in the end, because I thought I need to get out of the pharmaceutical world. I can't be supporting I can't be supporting pharmaceutical companies anymore, particularly after what happened to me. So that's when I moved into financial services instead. But yeah, like I had to dissociate everything that made me feel ill. And this is the sad thing about our house now, because I look at it and I think like, this is the house I literally just was sick in for a year and still am to some degree. And so I've had to change or adapt things in my life to try and forget that trauma. And then I met Amanda, who's also on your podcast as well, not that long ago. Amanda and I actually know each other longer than that. So we've known each other for about 6 months now, 7 months. And I found Amanda on Facebook as well. And she has been my rock through this as well. I couldn't have done it without some of the people that I've met over the last couple of months or year or so. And I'd be honest, it took me to a mentally very, very dark place, not just physically, but mentally as well. So I think if anyone in the community ever goes through this or is going through this currently, then the best thing you can do is find like-minded people you can talk to, whether that be it could be a I don't know, a family member, it could be a friend, it could be someone on social media, it can be a stranger. I mean, Amanda was a stranger to me, and now I feel like she's one of my best friends through all of this. So
trauma
this
bond
is the thing.
for sure.
Like, exactly. You know, with trauma bonding as well, like it's a really sad consequence or circumstance to go through together. But at the same time, like, I'm so glad that I've come out the other end with you. Like, it just completely enriched my life having her there too. And yeah, to this day, like, I'm still probably operating at like 90-95% those days, which is great. Like, I am so privileged that I am as far ahead as I am. I mean, like, I touch wood, I cross my fingers all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to jinx this and I'm going to get really ill again. But then I have like a week or so. It's weird. Like, for me, I had this week just after my period up until ovulation. And again, I never used to track my hormonal cycle or anything like that. Fair. What's the point?
Yeah.
Well, at least not. What's the point for me? Now I do. Yeah. I mean, what's the point at the time? Like, I wasn't planning to any reason to track it. And then I had this weird window where I just feel crap again for about a week, and I can function, I can do things, but it's hard. And I cry pretty much every day. Like, boy, I've cried a lot over the last year and a half.
Your body's like, fuck off, I need to get it out.
I know. But you know what the weirdest thing was? Like, the first month or so, the Botox actually paralyzed my lacrimal gland, so I couldn't cry. So for the first month of this that I wanted to cry last year around Feb time, I couldn't cry for a month. And I was like, yeah. And like, you'd be out in the wind and my eyes would get so dry because I genuinely couldn't produce tears.
I feel like that's like it's satisfying.
It's a form of you know what though, this whole thing, it feels like a form of torture. Like, honestly, you genuinely feel like it's a form of torture. I don't know why in the medieval times, obviously Botox wasn't around then, but like when you watch movies,
it wasn't
it's like
when they're trying to kill people, wasn't it?
But ironically, like,
not cosmetic.
Botulism though is like the most potent that I've read, like, chemical, I guess you call it chemical out there. That could kill someone. Like, I mean, a unit or something. Is it the unit? It's the unit of mouse units, or whatever. Like, 1 unit of Botox is enough to kill a mouse. Yes, that's how they measure it in. Yes. It's the lethal dosage for a mouse.
It's like fentanyl. It's the same thing. Like, and people, and this is like, there's so many complaints, and obviously being an advocate, I hear those things as opposed to someone that's injured. But being in the spaces and like speaking up for you guys and defending, being like, oh, that couldn't possibly. I'm like, how do you know that? What real fucking scientist says, I know this for sure? One that is being bought and paid for, and you need to run from that individual. Like, that's how I feel, because if they're saying that, any good scientist that I know says that the truth is like not obsolete. It can change. And like, isn't science about proving it wrong until you prove it right? But it seems like when it comes to these kind of things, especially in the cosmetic field, and when people say, well, I get it for medical reasons, it doesn't give a shit. It doesn't care if you're putting it in your face in your 11s or if you're putting it in your jaw for whatever. And back to your point, if you're going to take a medication or a product and the risks do not outweigh what you've been living through. Say you've got migraines and Botox is telling you you're going to get migraines. You're like, well, fuck, I have it anyways. I'm going to try it. Right. So like, I can understand going to that, but unfortunately it has nothing to do with like what the product is. And I feel like in some sort of senses, it's like what your body is made up of. So to sit here and say it's safe and effective for who? Right? Maybe some people don't feel it. And is it over time? I know some of you girlies get your first one and it happened. And some people, like Steph, had been doing it for 10 years and didn't react. Yeah. People around her never reacted, you know, and like, I'm not sure what it is. All I can think of is like, if you're a religious person, I guess maybe you're being used as a vessel for this message to save other women. As shitty as that is, like, it is what you guys are doing. Right. So it's like, your stories are changing people. I know so many girls that have messaged me, be like, I'm never doing Botox again. Like, I thought about it and now I'm never going to do it ever. Not once. And it's like, that is the start, but we need the injectors to be more accountable. We need clinics to be more accountable. It has nothing to do with, like you said, researching the best professional, looking at the best things, because all of you guys did your due diligence. You went and looked. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to a Botox party and my girlfriend's just going to inject it because, you know, like, just, it's for fun. And she did a weekend course. Like, it's literally at like spa, like clinical spas, type hospitals. It still can happen. And then it's like, to your point, oh, what was it diluted with? And there's a certain percentage that I learned that could be bad. It's like, people get cheap stuff from somewhere else that's like a knockoff, right? Like,
but I don't even think it's due to I genuinely don't think it's anything to do with the dilution, although it might have a bit of effect on some people, but you just don't know. Fair. I don't think it's anything to do if it's a knockoff product or not. I think all these neurotoxins have the same capability to do what it did to me and what it's done to thousands of other people as well. So yeah, and you know what, when I did tell the nurse who injected me what happened to me, I said, look, because she asked me if I went back for my follow-up appointment. So obviously you have your first one and then you go in, just check it was set. And obviously at this point I started already having some side effects from it. But I was, of course, everyone said it wasn't that. And I could tell on one side it wasn't set completely. I didn't actually like the way it looked either. But I did say to her, like, no, it's fine. I don't want any more. Thank goodness I didn't take the top-up appointment. And I left it like that, because for other women, they might have a reaction. Then they go back and have another 20 or 30 units injected into them again. And the worst thing is, I see now to this day, like on the social media groups, on Facebook, on Reddit, you get people enter these groups in total panic and terror, going through what I went through at the start, Steph, Amanda, all of us. And they say, well, I only had 20 units, so I'm not going to be too bad, am I? And it's like, it doesn't discriminate in terms of the number of units you have, doesn't discriminate in terms of where you've got like any back. And our medical history, so my background in terms of my medical history is spotless. I haven't had any illnesses that I'm aware of. I haven't got any underlying medical conditions. Very, very healthy, live healthily, been a runner for most of my life, horse rider as well. So my fitness levels hopefully have always been pretty good. Yeah. So again, another thing that people come back and say is like, oh, well, clearly you've got an underlying medical problem or something that you're just not aware of. I'm like, yeah, clearly.
Duh.
Clearly.
Holy fuck,
yeah,
thank
clearly.
you. I had no idea. Yeah. My favorite is just like, oh, you just have anxiety. It's like, when are we going to realize human beings aren't just born with anxiety? And like, if you've not grown up, like I grew up in a very chaotic childhood, very chaotic. So I developed anxious behaviors because of my environment. I wasn't born with anxiety. It's not in me. It was my environment. Once I removed myself, learned the tools that I need, I didn't need to be on medication or anything like that. But like, everyone just chalks it up so easy to be just like, oh, you just have a mental health illness. You just have panic attacks. It's just like, okay, one, why the fuck are we normalizing that whole other conversation? Again, I'm sorry, I'm going to hit back to the pharmaceuticals because people want, you know what I mean? Like, here's a problem. Here's a fucking SSRI. Like, what? Those things are dangerous. Those are like a handful of compounds away from meth. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
or a beta blocker.
Yeah, exactly.
Reduces your heart rate, and I've already got a low heart rate. So what are you going to do? Like, my heart will probably stop.
What is it going to be like in 60? I think one thing I want people to really think about, especially this like baby Botox and when we're starting, even if you want to agree that, okay, let's just play a game for a second and that some Botox is safe. Okay. Let's just play the game. Where is the accumulation though? So you start in your 20s. What does that look like actually when you turn into your 60s though? Like, are you going to recognize your face? How's your makeup going to be? Like, and again, are we actually not supposed to be this anxious and like upset and maybe we're doing stuff to upset our nervous system? Because like, if you just zone out for a second, we're putting a toxin in your body that could then affect you. So it's like, okay, you guys get buzzed up off of too much caffeine sometimes and get panic attacks. How are we not connecting that an actual toxin can do that? Like, it's the marketing. Like I said, it's a brilliant business plan. Tell women that they're all trash. Blame the patriarchy, and I'm not going to say that they're not a part of it, but blame them. But really, it's the matriarchy that is going in and doing what they're being told to do. And it's just this cycle of, we'll blame someone else over here, we'll do it, and we're not going to understand why. And it's like, and then we're going to have cognitive dissonance because personally, I don't want to deal with my body dysmorphia, so I'm just going to ignore it and be like, because I have no symptoms, I'm okay. And that's kind of where it feels like majority of the world is like, and it's just sad that we have to realize that because someone got fucked up. Like, it should be, hey, by the way, your face could be floppy. Your eyes could start like, we actually don't know all the risks that could happen with this. I think even if you said that and someone was like, okay, full send, I'm like, okay, cool. They have informed consent. At least when this happens, they're like, oh, it's the Botox. I know it is. We know this. But instead, it's gaslit. It's sending you to a million different fucking doctors and specialists and blood tests to come back and say, you're fine, you're fine. I'm sure that's helping your anxiety. Like, if you didn't have it, I'm sure that's stacking it, being like, oh, I don't know what's wrong with you. And you're like, something? And they're like, nothing.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
Then you're like, okay. And like, how the fuck do you manage that? How do you even do your job? Like, I fully understand why you guys need to take time off and space and how awful that is to people around you. My mom has fibromyalgia, so very not visible disease. And people the same thing. Well, you look fine on the outside. Meanwhile, she's having a trip and like her whole body is just working against her. And she's like, yeah, cool. Because I've dealt with this for so long. I just don't want to sit here and bitch all day and you guys don't want to hear it. It's just, it's so ridiculous. So coming from coming out of it a little bit more and all the different things that you've dealt with, what are some things that, so say I have someone that's struggling with Botox illness, or that might be it.
Yeah.
What are some things they could do to support someone going through it?
From like a medical perspective,
just as a friend, like a support,
as a
like
friend.
yeah, as a friend. If you had a perfect friend that was there, like there for you, how would they show up for you?
Just to physically and mentally be there for you at any time. Like if I was upset, or I was panicking, I could call them and be like, "You're gonna live." Like this is, you genuinely got to the point where I was like, if I could get through a month or 2 months, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna live from this. Like I'm not. It's not gonna go the other way anymore. And like I was a year out, my friend and I messaged each other, went, "Hey, we made it. Like we made the year mark." And I was like, I never thought at the beginning I was going to do that. It's just having that person present and being there for you and just believing you. Like my best friend could tell me, one of my best friends could tell me anything and I'd believe her. Like I'd believe her because I'm like, why would you be making something like this up? And I think as well, like I do have friends that say, look, I completely appreciate your story, Laura, and I can understand that this could be a possibility, but it's never happened to me. It hasn't been an issue to me. So I'm going to continue on getting my injections. And you know what? I genuinely run out of energy when I feel like saying, you've seen how unwell I've been. Like you've seen how much I disengaged with society. Basically, I basically just was at home for 3 months and I left my job. Basically, I had to change, my career all for this. So I feel like saying to people, you know what? Go and fill your boots. I'm at the point where I'm like, I'd rather advocate for people that want to listen, and I want people to turn around and say, you know what, I think that person's got a point. Like I can understand that this could happen and I'm not going to do this. And going back to your point around sort of mental health as well and anxiety. So I ended up having to have cognitive behavioral therapy. So got it through our sort of National Health Service and they marked me as clinically depressed. So I thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to take the whole cognitive behavioral therapy thing for a while, see how it goes. And for some people, I can imagine it being incredibly beneficial. So it basically helps you understand your coping mechanisms and really get to the bottom of, I guess, how you mentally deal with these sorts of illnesses. And you know what, even my therapist after the second session said to me, this isn't helping you because clearly this is physical. This isn't mental, what you're going through right now. So even though the National Health Services said you had severe depression and clinical depression, evidently there is something physical here. The reason why you're sad and presenting as being clinically depressed is because of the physical symptoms. It's not the other way around. Because again, the physical symptoms aren't manifesting from being sad or being depressed. So for her to even acknowledge that made me realize that, and you know what, it made me even feel worse. The fact that I was having to bring up all my coping mechanisms I've developed over the last 8 months. Like genuinely, it's insane the amount of stuff I used to pack in my bag when I used to go out. I was like, well, maybe if I get a migraine, I've got to take my magnesium supplements. Maybe if I get, maybe if I'm in that noisy place, I'm going to have to take my ear headphones. Maybe if I get this, I'm going to take this. So my bag was just full of like preventatives. And even now to this day, when I go on holiday and like I'm over a year out now, I'm 14, 15 months, I take those beta blockers and I take that SSRI in my luggage wherever I go. I don't take them, but they're there.
But they're
Do you know what I mean? Like they're there. I will never take them. And to this day, I mean, I won't ever take them. But they're there because it's just like a coping mechanism for me, thinking that I've got rescue remedies. I don't know if they can actually help or do anything, but I've got them with me. And you know what? I think the people that have been there for me, my husband has been my absolute rock. Like I could not have done this journey without him. And I know, as I mentioned at the beginning, he didn't believe me at all at the beginning. And of course he shouldn't. I don't blame him at all. And that was his background.
That's what we need them for. What? Sometimes we're a bit crazy. We need some sanity checks. Okay. I get a little wrapped up in that spiral and I get one of these, like not physically, but you know, like, where are you? You spiraled. Come back to earth. Oh yeah, right. Humans, we're here. You're right. Thank you. So yes, and very fair.
Exactly the same.
And plus it's not common to know, right? Like, you know, maybe now breast implant illness, but if this was you and your husband 10 years ago and you talked about, it was my titties trying to kill me, he'd probably look at you like you're nuts because we don't hear about it. Right. So it's like, the more you know, that's why we got to speak out about it, guys.
I know. But you know what, though, in 10 years' time, I wonder if things will be different. And
100%,
my husband will look at me, or my friends will look at me and be like, my gosh, you went through that. That's something that you had happen to you when you had your neurotoxin injections. And like, even though, as I mentioned, that my husband at the beginning didn't believe me, I think 6 months in, he looked at me and thought, there's nothing else that could have caused this for you. Like, there's nothing else. And the fact that it's so rhythmical, it's on the dot. Like, I know that with my menstrual cycle. So for some people, the hormones really play a part. I don't know if it's inflammation. I don't know what causes you to have like almost a flare up of your symptoms for a week or so of the month, depending on where your hormone levels are at. But the fact is, I don't try now mentally or actively not to track myself as much in terms of my cycle. and then bam, it will hit. And I know then I'm like, I'm close to ovulation, or I'm close to this part of my cycle. And that's just based on the symptoms that I've got. So it's crazy. And like, if that were mental, then it just wouldn't happen. I'm like, I'm psychic then I should change careers completely and just be in tarot cards or something instead. Which, exactly. So, but yeah, my husband's being a complete rock, and my friends are so really long-winded to come back to your message about if you were a friend and you had someone going through it, or what would you have wanted. It's just to have people be there and just not gaslight you, and just completely understand. You can't ever physically understand. I wouldn't want anyone to physically understand the torture that we've been through. We're not fabricating it. We're not making it up. I have nothing to gain from making this up. If anything, quite the opposite.
Yes.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you almost feel like you're embarrassed saying to people that I've had. I almost feel embarrassed saying that I went and had cosmetic injections. Like, I know everyone has them, but no one likes to admit it. And I'm glad, it's not normalized to say that I have Botox injections. Because when it gets to that stage, when it is normalized, then I think that's where it's even worse than kind of that pandemic we're in at the moment in terms of injectables and what's considered important when you grow age in terms of having fillers, having injectables, having to look like a certain Kardashian, like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm glad we're not at that normalization yet. Yes. And I hope we can reverse it with time if more people speak out and say, this has happened to me. Like, I've listened to so many podcasts now where people are talking about having side effects to Botox. Like, guys, we're not making this shit up. This stuff happens.
No. And that's why it's like, it's important to speak out because, and I know it's terrifying. So that's why I've never pushed anybody to come on the show. And I was just like, so crazy how all three of you showed up at the same time, because I was like, I want to talk about this, but it's hard for me to keep saying the same things I've said already, right? Like, I can only talk about what I hear. It's like, when people hear other people having the experience, it means something different than me just being like, hey guys, by the way, because then I just like, oh, you're a hater, you're this. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm just scared of needles, okay? And yes, I have tattoos all over my body, not same needles. And it's something that I would have done, and I react for everything. So it's like, I know that I would have been one of those girls that is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, birth control made me sick. Like, any medication just makes me sick. And so it's like, I get people don't want to admit that maybe something that they're using as a crutch for making self-love, self-care. But I'd argue that self-love and self-care, like, how much cheaper is it to get a therapist maybe once or twice a year to talk to them about your face, issues if you have them, and like, fair. Marketing spends billions of dollars every year to tell you that you're ugly, you're old, you're a troll, and you're, what I'm saying? And like, and to only be beautiful. Like, again, people love, all these Kardashians, all these people, all these influencers. And it's like, just be careful what that's doing to your subconscious, because maybe you're just watching them being silly they're doing these little dances, but they're ingrained in your head and your subconscious. You're thinking, look at her flat skin, look at her perfect lips, look at her beautiful tits. Right? That's what I should look like, because look at all these likes, look at all this attention she's getting. So that must mean the tribe of people love this person. Therefore, for me to be accepted and into the tribe, I need to look exactly like them. Well, guess what? I look nothing like a Barbie doll. I have no boobs. I am like tall and awkward, and I have brown everything. Like, I have big chubby cheeks. Like,
but that's perfect.
It is. But when I was younger, it was like, well, you're not a Playboy bunny and you're not a Barbie, so therefore you're not pretty. And then all of a sudden I found all these European women, and I was like, hey guys, here's all the, like, I'm Hungarian. So like, that's, but I grew up in a completely different area, right? And where it was just like, oh, Playboy, like MTV, Much Music, all those Hollywood. That was like, like Nicole Richie, Paris Hilton. Like, that was the ideal look at our age. And so it's like, there is that pressure now, but times 1,000, because everyone can put filters, and people that are younger can get famous at like 10 years old, 12 years old. So the pressures that these children have, kids now, are insane. When we're talking about Sephora kids, like, what are you talking about? I'm 38 and I still don't have a full skincare routine. And a fucking 16-year-old is already, like, 12-year-olds already doing it. And not because it's good for them, because it's trendy and cool and it's going to help you age less. Well, I'm sorry. Aging is a privilege. I know that is so, so hard, but if you've lost people, you understand that the people that I've personally lost, and I'm sorry guys listening to the third time I'm saying this in this Botox series, but they wouldn't care if they had their lives today, what they look like. They would just be happy to be alive. And so I just challenge people, it's like, before you go and do that, just really gut check if this is self-care, or are you validating an insecurity that could then turn into an obsession and an addiction that with one time going could take a year and a half away of your life, and potentially like you're also nervous going forward. What am I going to do next? Is my husband going to pick me up for this cute kiss and just throw me in the pool and all of a sudden I'm going to get kicked back? Like probably not now because you're more out, but I'm
No.
sure that's a fear that sometimes you do new things or eat new things and you're just like, okay, like, is this going to trigger something? Like, so now there's this fear as well from
fear.
you. Yeah.
You live, and you've hit the nail on the head. Like to this day, the one thing I said to my husband, is this going to cause me to relapse? Everything that I do, like even today, for example, I was outside watching my friend run the half marathon and it was a hot day. I got home and I was like, oh, maybe I've been out in the sun too long. And the first thing I said to my husband was, am I going to relapse from this? And he's like, no. And I mean, like, bless him, he can't tell me if I am or not.
Of course.
Like, he doesn't know.
No.
But that's enough for me to mentally think, okay, he's reassuring me right now. And that's all I can go by is his word, basically. And I've gone through 14 months of this now and I've never gone back to the beginning. I haven't. I mean, I'm not saying that I couldn't. Like, I don't know if it's possible or not, if you could go right back to the beginning of it. Like, I've read stories of people that have. But I think everyone has different triggers. I don't think it matters if you're sensitive to medication. Like, I think even if you're not sensitive to medication, you have Botox. First time, 10th time, doesn't matter. This is fully capable of doing this and going systemic. And without sounding like... Sometimes I read people who have side effects from Botox or adverse reactions, and it's been like their eyebrow has like drooped or something, or their eyelid has. And I'm like, gosh, if that was the only issue I had and I had a wonky face for like 12 months, I wouldn't care. Like even if it were longer than that, or it might be permanent, I would not care if my face was disfigured from Botox. I mean, yeah, I would care, but I wouldn't be as upset as like, I would not care in terms of like, at least I'm physically okay. Like I can go run. I can go eat what I want and not be terrified that someone's going to make me feel ill again, although it won't, or at least it won't for me, which I'm very fortunate for. I could live my life like normal. Like I genuinely had to put my life on hold for a year. In your 30s, having to do that when you've got your whole life ahead of you. Like, I'm not saying it's good at any age. Like you see women and men in their 60s having Botox for, I guess, therapeutic reasons, but also for cosmetic. And you think, gosh, like, I know they've lived their lives, but they're still going through that as well.
Totally. And older.
And older. Yeah. And it terrifies me, as you said, about Sephora kids. And you've got people in their 20s are so impressionable and they go and have Botox injections and they get ill. And I think, my gosh, like the fact that we had animals, but I think for people who have kids, and I feel for people that are in school or like going through education, I'm like, you basically have to put your life on hold. I genuinely don't know how super mums, the people that have had to do this with kids.
Right?
I don't know how they've done it. I mean, with animals, I read back to my husband, you're going to have to sort them. I would genuinely, it'd be so hard for me to look after anything apart. Couldn't even look after myself, let alone anyone else. So how people do it with kids, I don't know.
No.
I just admire some of the tenacity of some women that have had to go through this.
And they excuse it too.
Really do with their kids.
They're like, oh, this ailment is because I'm a mom. And it's so like, and we do it as women too. And like corporate girlies, like Excel. Oh, well, Excel got to me today. You know, the like so many spills, like how many times are you going to spill? But like, you know, I get it. We all just chalk it up, or, oh, I must have trained too hard. I didn't eat enough. You know, we chalk up all these things and it's like, no, I don't think we're meant to come here and our bodies are meant to freak out. So there's like, what is causing it? But I find there's just a lack in general when it comes to medical care. It's like, what is causing this? It's more like, what can we do to stop the ailments, stop the whatever you're going through? But it's like, okay, cool, thanks. But what started it? Like, great, but how am I going to come back here?
I've never had an answer.
No,
I've never had an answer to that.
What
started this? I mean, evidently Botox started this, but how did it? I can never get a conclusion of how did this happen. I mean, one day it might come out like breast implant illnesses. It might come out. But until that day, I don't know how this happens. And I guess, like, as we mentioned earlier about, like, for example, we're in that, so as a millennial, right? When we were younger, you'd have people like celebrities on magazines saying so-and-so packs on the pounds or so-and-so let themselves go. And they were like a size, okay, in UK, that's like a size 12, for example, or something like they weren't big. They're not big people whatsoever. But we had it ingrained in our minds that we had to be skinny. We had to be slim. And the nice thing, as we've sort of gone into the 2000s onwards, is that it's been the other way around. It's almost better to be curvy. It's better to be not skinny or super slim or anything. I know there's some weird trend going on now where that celebrities are going that way.
Yeah, swung a little too far. We got to go back to the middle, guys.
But again, but people understand that. People can see that as well, right? Totally. They don't think that's normal.
No.
And I really hope, and I think the same will happen with injectables going forward. Like you already see it with fillers now. People are starting to have fillers removed. And I think soon people are going to look at wrinkles the same way and be like, you know what? It's great that you can see that person's expression. Their forehead moves, their eyebrows move. You can see them smile. Like you can see them smile and see the creases, and you see it's their life experience. You see someone's life in their face. Yes. Like I look at someone, if they're completely frozen, I'm like, I don't see anything. I don't see how you react or anything like that. You see it with actors and actresses. It's hilarious when people try and cry with Botox. Yeah, and you're just going, oh, how do you do that?
I always
how do people do it?
Back to that. I don't know if you watched the movie Christmas with the Cranks.
Yeah.
And he gets Botox and he's like trying to eat the peaches and it just falls out and his face is like I don't know. Anytime I think about that, I'm like, that's what I'm going to look like. Like every time, if you ever think about doing it, think about Tim Allen and that's what your face is going to look like. And not saying that. And again, like if people really want to look like that, truly want to look like that, then I guess, and you're informed, then do what you want to do fully. Like I don't understand it. It's not a choice that I want to make. I chose a different path. And again, no judgment. If you're feeling hate on the inside, then look inside, baby. But for me, it's just like, I didn't get those things because this is sound silly. I'd rather people see my expressions than know that I had an insecurity about those expressions. Yeah, the same thing with my boobs, right? It's like if I just rock in my flat chest, and which I do now, and I'm so excited that I never got implants for, obviously that's like the biggest advocacy I do on the show. I think I've had about 8 episodes about breast implant illness. But now it's just like I'm to that point where I don't care because I am going into 40, and it's just like when I hit 30s, I was like, oh my God, I don't actually care about this. But in my 20s, when I was really impressionable, I cared about it, and I would have been the same person that reacted. And it just blows my mind that they've got such a hold on we know it could be bad, but we're still going to go do it because this is more important. And I just want everyone to challenge, like, before you do anything, pause, wait 6 months, wait a year. It's not going to change, right? Like, but this is where the marketing well, you better get it younger. Cause if those muscles, but it's like, to your point, interpersonal relationships. And I've said this several times again, sorry. It gets affected. So like, think about kids that are trying to learn, was that the right thing to do? And mom's face doesn't move. I don't really know if that's the right thing to do or not. But if I see that she's like scowling, like, oh my gosh, sorry, Nan. When my grandma got mad, that woman's nostrils would flare and you knew you were in trouble. You knew you better get the fuck out of there, right? Because her face changed, right? Or like when me and my girlfriends get together, we're all stoners and we're just laughing and we die laughing. And I just love seeing the expressions on their faces. And when we get together, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I get to see, like, your story, who you are. I mean, that's what kind of like tattoos are in a sense, even though they're also a form of cover up, right? But it's a way, right? So I feel like when people see me I'm not shading anyone, just taking it this way. But when people come up to me and they see my expressions and then I think they know that I just don't care about those kind of things, right? That I care about deeper things than that. And that's if like, apparently, your 11s show that you worry a lot. You're a worrier. And it's so true. So when people see me, they look at my 11s, but also it's like, oh, you're always worrying. Does that kind of show that I'm someone that cares? Not that people that don't, but it's initial like, oh, she's like a mother hen. She cares. Like, you know what I mean? Like cares more about people than outside.
Yeah. But I think that's sad that that's the first thing that people think when they look at someone, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like until I had Botox, I don't think before I ever looked at someone and thought their wrinkles, their face moves. So for people who are thinking about it, it's probably you. It's probably just you that looks in the mirror and says, I've got this line here. Or I've got these couple of deep lines here. No one else sees them or
cares about them.
They just don't, or cares about them. It doesn't compute when they talk to you. They don't look at you and go, oh, look at that wrinkle that person's got there. It's our own insecurities. 100%. And that's what Botox and the marketing feeds off, is our own insecurities. And of course, people can do what they want to do. It's your own face. It's your own body. You can have tattoos all over your body. You can have your injections if you want to have them, or fillers. But just be, as you said, going back to the beginning, is the informed consent. Just be informed that these things can happen. And I just hope and just wish we get to a place, maybe it won't be now, maybe be in 10 years, maybe longer, that we undo all of this. You need to have fillers, you need to have injectables to be like, wrinkles are cool again.
Yes.
Like, not being super skinny is cool. Like you don't have to be really thin. Like you can be any size you want to be and it can be considered beautiful. So why isn't it the same for aging or anti-aging products? Because I just don't think we're there yet. But I really hope we will be one day. And I'm not ever going to be that person that says, I told you so, this could happen.
No.
But I probably will be that person that'll say, I told you so, this could happen.
100%. It's like, no, if I don't say it to your face, when you're done healing, I'm going to be saying it, being like, bitch, I told you.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I would be that person that'll be there
that holds your hand. As I say, totally.
I'll be there to hold that person's hand. And the amount of strangers I've spoken to since this happened to me, I mean, I put my story on social media so people can read it. And, you know, I feel as well, this is a bit of a calling for me. I feel like I should be telling my story more. I should be speaking to people more. And yeah, there's an element of embarrassment to the fact that I went and had the injections in the first place. But you know what? I'm like, I think it will shape me into being a stronger person.
We all do something.
I am. we all do something stupid from time to time. And you know what? We just heal and get stronger from it. And so, yeah, I just feel for the people that are suffering with this more than I did. Like, yes, I still suffered with it significantly worse than I ever imagined it would be for me. And I still have times and moments where I feel really unwell, but like, and emotionally as well, it gets to me too. But considering some of the things I've read as well, and some of what people have gone through, it's
fucking crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. It's horrific what people go through. I just don't ever want someone to be in that position if you can prevent it.
Totally.
So, yeah.
And to your point, if you want to do it, okay, right? You've got your own shit and you've committed, you want to do all good. But at least know. And then if it happens and you're being gaslit, at least you know there's a group of women. There's people out there that you can talk to that, like, of course, after we're going to like poke you and be like, hey, you know, we fucking, but 99% of people that I've talked to, I'd say 99.5% of people are like, I had no idea about black box warning. Most people know because of podcasts with Gretchen, people that are speaking out, advocates like that, the group, people coming together and sharing it. It's the same with the breast implant illness. That's how it started, is that someone started a group and was like, other people have got to be feeling this way. And those groups blew up. And at least, you know, and you know, there's always going to be like good and bad to it, but at least it's the informed and it's just giving someone the seed, right? So you guys are just like thought planters, right? So it's just like giving the seed to people. And maybe some of your friends, some people that are listening, they'll be like, fuck it. It's not me. Fine, keep going. But when it happens, then at least, you know who to talk to, you know to go. And also, then maybe when you're getting run around, you can always come back to, okay, maybe it was the Botox and I don't need to think I'm going to wake up dead tomorrow. Time. Yeah. Most of the people, like everybody's body's different, but I would say more than anything, it's going to unfortunately be time that you're going to have to watch that healing. And some people, like you said, it takes longer and they've had one injection and that was it. And some people are doing it for 10 years. It's everyone's different, but at least there's a place that people could talk about it. And there's a group of women that are at least being like, hey, I feel you. I see you. I can't diagnose you. I can't give you the antitoxin, but I can be here and hold your hand. And honestly, mentally, I think that is one of the most important things. As your body is physically freaking out, you need people to help support the mental, so the mental doesn't then kick into being the problem, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
I feel like you guys would develop mental issues because of the gaslighting, because of the treatment where you didn't have it before.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some post-traumatic sort of disorder with this. There's some PTSD, and I think that will carry with me through life to the point that I thought I probably need therapy at some point from it all. I mean, I do speak to kind of like a therapist I have at the moment too. And I think that's totally fine. That's totally normal. And it's a good way of processing your emotions and how you feel. But yeah, there's the Never Tox, there's Tox Safety, there's all the Facebook groups that are available to you. I would just say to people, be mindful, particularly when you're in the most fragile state at the beginning, that some of them can do more harm than good. So you have the ones where they're not, some Facebook groups aren't managed particularly to the point that it's public. So you do get people who are pro-injectors in there saying, oh, this could never happen to you. And that's like one of the worst things you want to hear, is someone else gaslighting you. And then also there are people that I'm really sorry for them, very unfortunate, have very significant or severe side effects from it, and they've gone on for a very long time. So as we said, everyone's different, everyone reacts differently. So if you do have side effects from Botox or a neurotoxin injection, your path to recovery is going to be very different to someone else's. So your symptoms that you feel will be very different to someone else's. So like, that's another thing, just to try not to panic at the beginning. Just try not to panic. Know that go through all the medical tests, like go have them done, because 100%. I think it's important still.
They're markers too, right?
It's absolutely qualify that there's nothing else that you need to be considerate of. And hey, I've had a full body MOT over the last year and a half. So for me, I feel like for everything else that's being checked, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Take advantage
I'm just
of
saying,
it.
like, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, just make sure you certify that there is nothing else medically that could be contributing to it. Because I think that's always very important. Then, as you said, I genuinely think the most biggest healer in all of this has been time. There's nothing else that can come close to time. The further out you get from injections, I feel the further that I've healed. The more I've healed, the more I've recovered. Your body's healing every day. Every day it's getting that bit stronger. So I just hope that message gets to those people that are panicking in the early stages, have listened to this podcast. Like, I genuinely felt at the beginning that was it. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to come back from this, but your body's incredible at what it can do. Like, look at people who have children, like when they can't, like after, like women's bodies, like, and the same with like
normalize
people
that too. Like
exactly.
We've made that sound way too easy. Like, no, y'all, you're yeeting a baby out of your legs. Like, it's traumatic. Like,
yeah, people who recover from like cancer or from like severe
losing a leg.
Health. Exactly, losing a leg. Like, trust me, I've rather lost a leg over the last year or so. But like, yeah, there's people recover every day. Like, people get better every day, and that there's nothing stopping you from getting better. Just don't let your mind come over that or overcome your physical healing effectively.
Totally. And just before we go today, is there any advice, like, so say someone heard all this and they still want to go get injections, what would you just give them as like, okay, you're going to go in and do it, but just be aware of this so that if it happens, you know, like, is there any advice that you have for people that still want to go ahead with it to look out for?
Yeah, I would still tell them that if they were going to see an injector, that the injector, as we mentioned at the beginning, the informed consent piece, the injector reads out every side effect or that black box warning to you, so you know exactly what and what not to expect. Because as soon as, I think, obviously the problem is you don't want to body check your symptoms. You don't want to come away and think, do I have a headache though?
Yes.
Or do I have sinus pressure? Because that can then manifest in its own mental way, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But it's just being open to the fact that things don't always go right. Things don't always go to plan. But like, just making sure that whoever you do see your injector, you get that support mechanism, you get that support from them as well if something were to go wrong. The worst thing is, though, is there's not really any way that they can medically support you at all. But I guess just the validation that they know this could happen. Because obviously they start panicking then and send you a letter being like, sign this letter to say that this wasn't caused by me or something else. Absolutely do not do that.
No.
And also just make sure you have a support mechanism there. Make sure you have people there so if something does go wrong. You do have people around you to help you through it because, yeah, as I said, it's just time and patience. That's all it is really. And hopefully for a lot of people, nearly the vast majority do get a lot better.
They do.
It's just time, taking the time out.
Yep. And that's those groups, right? So it's like, and don't compare yourself to someone else's journey and their healing journey across the board, but especially with this one, especially because there isn't as much, you know, it's just going off of anecdotal, what other people have gone through. But I don't give a shit. That is more to me than sometimes science data because I'm like, who bought that? These are real women. Same with me. I don't make money off this podcast. If anything, I lose money on this podcast. I have no reason to do this other than just to share with women so that they know and they're informed, so that they have these nuggets in their pocket or seeds that they can grow and plant at any time. And they could think I'm crazy and hate me for it. I don't care as long as I've planted that in you. So there's no future suffering. I'm not in this for fame or like obviously the friendships, but like, you know what I mean? I'm not here to like become popular. I'm here to actually want to share this message. So just be very careful of who is sharing messages with you, whether that's your injectors, supporters, or like, do they make money off of you? Are they going to make money off this product? Like, I think it's just really important to have that aspect. Because one thing I've seen in the healing world, and this is across the board in advocacy, is that people will take advantage, like you said, when you're at your most vulnerable moment. So just be very careful that you're vetting the people, making sure that they're good from injection to aftercare and all of that stuff. I think it's super important. It's very easy to just be like, oh, I don't know, this person has an answer, so I'm going to go to that answer, you know, but like, check back in with your support groups and the women that are going through it, the women that have tested it through time, that are, you know, not just anybody that's going to make money off of it. That's where I struggle the hardest. And unfortunately, all injectors make money off of it. So it's like, I don't want to yuck your business, but at the same time, yuck. Like, I hate it personally. Like, I get it. I guess I think we think we're giving women self-care and empowerment. But when you see the negative side of that, it's hard to get on board with the positive. I'm very much like, do what you want. But my close girlfriends, if one of them are like, for one, they probably wouldn't fucking tell me. But if they did, I'd be like, are you feeling okay? Like, come to my house. Let's talk a little bit about this. And only because when death is a possible side effect, we really, really, really need to make sure the why is really worth it. And again, that is extreme, but it's not off the table. So, and to the point, like okay, so death is the worst thing. Then what are the other things? Near death, making you feel like you're going to die. Personally, you know what? I'm going to go get some frownies. I'm going to get like some gua sha going on. And if it doesn't go away, then guess what? I'm a Harry Potter female, okay? Like, it is what it is. This is my magic strip. I work in cannabis. I worked in the oil field. We're millennials. We've been through how much? I live in Canada. It's insane here. You know, I had this one girl that I follow. She calls it batshit bonkers Britain. So I'm sure you guys are going through some stuff too.
Batshit bonkers Britain. So correct. So apt. Well, yeah.
She's like,
she's our same shit.
Yeah, she's very political. She speaks out and she just kills me with the accent and just batshit bonkers Britain. I was like, yes, we need one for Canada. Crazy, chaotic Canada. I love it. But this is so good and such an informative episode, Laura. Thank you so much. Is there anything that we could add today? I definitely want to get all three of you girls back on in about 6 months together as a group, just to bounce off of each other to see where you are and just like speak about anything we might have missed. But is there anything that you want to add today to your story that we can throw in at the end here?
You know what? I think I've covered nearly everything that I've gone through the last year or just over. Some of the things have just been crazy. It's amazing when you think back through what you've gone through and think, wow, I've come out so much stronger. Like I am so strong that I've been able to get through that. So yeah, I think that's basically my story. And you know what? I will tell my story to whoever wants to listen to it. So if there's anyone off this podcast that wants to reach out to me at any point, then I'm more than happy to be put in touch with people as well, just to give my side of the story of what I've been through. And that was just the Cliff's Notes in terms of what symptoms I've had. I've wanted to point out, I guess, most that people can relate to and understand. But there are other symptoms, I guess, of physical symptoms. So if you ever feel like, well, I've had this and these people haven't had that, or is this caused by it? I mean, of course, like I'm not going to turn around and say that everything's caused by Botox. We've had Botox injections. Like, of course, that we don't know and we can never understand that. That's the real mystery of this, is that you can't detect Botox in your body. You can't see I don't like the term damage because it sounds like it's irreversible. I promise you in saying this, that anything you put in you, or like at least with this Botox story so far, the only way that I've mentally been able to recover from it is by understanding that it's reversible. Whatever you feel that is, it's not irreversible, but you have to give your body time and you have to support yourself. So, I mean, yeah, I would say my life has changed a lot in terms of my mental outlook. I would say there's a lot of things I find very trivial now. They're friends of mine, as I said, relationships change. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, you know. I think sometimes, yeah. And I think changing careers, changing perspectives, you know what, it's shaped me into the person that I now am. And it's very different to the person that I was over a year ago now. Like I was very self-conscious. I was very anxious about the way I looked. Like I cared about what my friends thought about me. I cared if they like went out and didn't invite me to something, and they didn't that FOMO I had at the time. Geez, but trust me, when you're bedridden for 3 weeks or so, you don't care. You don't have a fear of missing out. You just have a fear of like wanting just to experience your life again. Like I don't care about not going out for drinks, or I don't care about going to bottomless brunch. Like, I don't care for any of that. I literally just want to be present. Like I want to be present as my healthiest, strongest self. So yeah, I would just say that like that my story's been absolutely crazy for me personally. Like as I said at the beginning, like I'm very boring. Like I'm very what we call what we call it fruit and nuts. I don't know if you've heard that expression before.
No, yeah, it's just I use it now.
But like on a packet of chocolate, right? When it just says Cadbury fruit and nuts, it is what you see. Like, yes. That's what I mean. It's just, I call it's basically a polite way of saying I'm a basic bitch.
Yeah.
Like, I am.
It's a British basic bitch.
Nothing interesting happens to me. I'm fine with that now. Like, I'm so totally fine with nothing.
Please, just give me Starbucks in the basic bitch title.
Decaf Starbucks.
Yes, decaf. Sorry. Yes. Fuck.
Now I have to. But yeah, it has completely changed my life. But as I said, if anyone ever needs to reach out or speak to me, they're always welcome to. And I'm happy to share my story.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so great. And honestly, I think sometimes it's just someone to shoot the shit with. Just be like, hey, you know what I mean? It's just nice to have someone to listen sometimes. And sometimes it's nice when it's a stranger, because especially with one that relates, because it's like you come together in that commonality. So there's not you lied to me 6 years ago about putting the laundry away or something. You know what I mean? There's not that personal attachment. It's just like come together in same, unfortunately, trauma or experience, but it's so validating. And I think that's just all you guys ever want, is because you're not getting that from the people that did it to you or the people that are supposed to support you. And honestly, it sounds like if you were living fruit and nuts before, I don't know what's exciting on the other side, but like to me, it sounds like maybe you've now worked into your purpose and now you know what your alignment is. And your alignment is to help women that were just feeling like you just before you got it. Anybody that's gone through it to be like, just make sure and like you're perfect the way you are. Aging is such a privilege that a lot of us do not experience as things are getting crazier. We're seeing people die at younger ages. Like, you know, what I just always challenge people, like instead of focusing on what you look like in the world, what kind of energy are you putting off? Because anytime I walk up to anybody, the best compliment is, I love your energy. When I'm done talking to you, I feel so energized. Like, you know, that's to me what I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on what do I look like. And like, if anything, I want women to look at my wrinkly face and feel safe to be able to be that way too. To be like, okay, well, do you look at me and think I'm ugly because of my, you know, do you think I'm less than? No. What do you love about me? My energy, my smile, my all of that. None of that is cosmetic. None of that is cosmetic. And I get it. Some people look at others and think they're blessed with what they look like in their looks. I get that. But just because you think someone's pretty, don't think that in the inside they're not fucking saying that they're ugly. Because like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it when people tell me I'm pretty. I'm like, are you delusional? Are you high? You must be on Molly. Like, and I've stopped that. But again, I've done that my whole life and discredited my looks. And now to the point where it's like someone comments on my looks. I'm like, but I'm funny and I'm kind and like I'm so many other things. And it's such a disservice to us. And so I just challenge all women to really look at their relationships with themselves and how they look. And furthermore, what are you doing for our younger sisters? What are you doing for the next generation? Because if we can't get our shit done at 30, 40, 50 years old, they do not stand a fucking chance. So my plea to everybody is really thinking about what you're doing. Are you validating your insecurities? Are you developing an addiction? Are you lying about it to people that you care about in your life? Because if it's nothing wrong, why are you lying about it? And like, does it truly align with you? Or are you just doing it because everyone else is doing it? And that's what you feel like you're at the age to. Just stop. It's a neurotoxin. Pause and just think about it. And maybe in 6 months you still feel the same, but at least you know it's got a black box warning. When they say freeze it, that is not correct. It stops the fucking actual chemical process to move it. And eventually that might not work. And now I just feel like this is just moving from Botox fillers to plastic surgery. Because eventually this shit's not going to work anymore and you're going to have to go more drastic. I think that's what we're seeing with celebrities right now that did all those fillers and Botox, and we're seeing their faces change entirely. I think we're seeing massive reconstruction of faces of over time built up of fillers and Botox in Hollywood at least. So that's an indication of where we're going when we do it too young and do it too much. But excuse me, I'm getting all dried up here. Amazing episode, Laura. Thank you so much. I'll make sure to tag you in all of the posts so people can find you. But if they want to find you, where would be the best place to reach out? Instagram, maybe?
Yeah, I'd say Instagram. So yeah, if you tag me for Instagram, that'd be fantastic. And if anyone wants to reach out with me, then please just shoot me a private message. And yeah, I will make sure to get back to anyone who wants to find out more. And hopefully, as I said, it's not someone going through what we've been through, but yeah, just if you
hopefully
need me.
It's preventative and before you go and get it. But if it's after, hey, we're here with open arms, right? So thank you so much, Laura. And I definitely want to get you girlies back at the end of the season and see where everyone is. Have all three of you together. I don't know how we're going to do that with time, but we'll figure it out. Hopefully no daylight savings times will be in our way. We'll make sure it's nowhere around daylight savings time. But I just appreciate this so much. Thank you, Laura. And again, guys, if you like this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on for notifications. Until next time, guys. Bye. Thank you guys so much for listening. I truly appreciate the support. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please follow the Be Real Babe podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Rumble. You can also find me at the Be Real Babe podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Until next time, guys. Bye.